The broadcast is live.
Okay, so hello everybody, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and welcome to the first edition of Scalers Talk, our brand new episodic webinar series hosted right here on LinkedIn. I'm Tom, I'll be your host for today's session, and today we have three very special guests to discuss the topic of diversity in the tech space and what this really means for businesses. We have Emilian, the CEO and co-founder here at the Scalers. We have Marie, the
Hi.
Chief Technology Officer at Yelda. And we have Neha, the
Hi.
Senior Technical Consultant at Partylight. So please give them a warm virtual welcome, everybody. Before we start, would you just like to introduce yourselves quickly and what you do and so on? If we can start with you, perhaps.
I'll let Marie start.
Thank you, Emilian. So my journey started actually with Emilian 10 years ago. I've been working in India for 5 years in a web agency named CareerJS in Chennai in South India. And after a while, I went back to France and I created a company with the CareerJS founder, which is named Yelda. It's a SaaS platform that allow our clients to deploy voice assistant, so basically speaking chatbot on various platforms like Google Assistant, Alexa, on phone, and on websites. And I'm currently the CTO of this company since 3 years, and I'm working with a team of 4 developers, including a female developer and still an Indian guy we met a long time ago in my previous company.
Excellent. And Neha?
So I started my career in 2015. I moved to Bangalore. Then I'm a senior technical consultant in Partylight. And recently I started my career with them. And I came from Madhya Pradesh, India. So I did my higher education over there. Then I moved to Bangalore. Then I have almost traveled across the country, where I was in Delhi. I was in Punjab. So I just keep on switching my places, and then I moved back to Bangalore. So I'm here now, and supporting Partylight. Thank you.
Fantastic. And
Yes, sure. Thanks, Tom. Emilian, as people know me, I guess. And it's been it's going to be 10 years since I first set foot in India. It's going to be my 10 years anniversary in May of this year. And so I came here working as a developer, because writing code, of course, is my passion. I write code every day, actually. And so I was in Chennai with Marie, and we had a hell of a time. Actually, it was really an incredible adventure, for sure. And then I started a business actually in 2015, which is called The Scalers. We are a tech company based in Bangalore, maybe one of the best cities in the world. And that's all in a few words.
Excellent. So before we start, I'd just like to point out we have a moderator, Aga, who is scouring the chat for the best comments to pass over to our guests at the end, should we have any extra time. So please feel free to ask any questions, and we will try our best to answer them at the end. So we will be operating a kind of round table format, so it's not too formal, too structured, because spontaneous conversations are the best conversations, in my opinion. So, I mean, to begin, we've seen diversity spoken about by business leaders and, with increasing frequency in the media and so on. And I suppose the first question would be, why is diversity important? Why is it important to have in a business, in an organization? I mean, is it just a buzzword? Is it just a trend? Is it something businesses say just to look kind of with the times, as it were? Is it an effect of political correctness, maybe? Or does it have, a real tangible impact on businesses? And why do you think that is? And that's a question for all of you. And maybe Marie, if you'd like to start.
Okay. As a start, I would maybe give you some examples that are maybe quite famous. but that are really, I think, the ones that speak the most. It will be the BS, for example, in machine learning. I think that you've all heard about some, I would say, almost terrible stories about projects developed by developers that were not diverse and that lead to some that were not considering people that were different. For example, it was the some face recognition that were developed by some white males and that were not correctly able to recognize some people from different origin. For example, some black people were not correctly recognized, or even some Asian people. There was an application in the US where they were able, to upload some picture for some administrative paper. And one of the rules was to make sure that people were having eyes wide open. And it was working fine on all the white people that tested it. But once the first Asian updated their picture, they were considered with eyes closed and they could not even submit their important paper. So it was a big mistake. And nowadays, machine learning is coming more and more present in our daily life. And if we are not able to work with a diverse team, we won't be able to deploy projects that will be usable by the whole population. So that's the first point. And the other one, I think, would be maybe just innovation and creativity. If you just work with people that are like you, you won't be able to innovate. And by diversity, we don't only mean origin or gender. It would be the social origin. Did you do an engineering school or did you came from a different background? Because engineers working all together will produce engineers' products, but not all the users will be engineer. And it's the same with the age. If you are only a group of 20, 30 years old folks producing something, it won't match with some users that might be older or that have a different understanding of the tech. So these are the two main points I can see.
Okay, perfect. Neha?
And I let some other ideas for the other, of course.
Oh, excellent. And Neha, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, sure. Actually, as per like what I have experienced throughout my career, diversity is not only like in the like person to person, it will not vary. It might like diversity leaves impact or throughout whole organization, because it's like the employees which are working there, they will feel engaged, diverse, and the working environments which they are seeing, that will impact their work. So it's like, for example, there is one problem which came all sudden, and if you are having different mindset of people, you will have different type of solutions which will lead that organization to the next level, where only a diverse people can lead it to, as compared to the people who are coming up with the one type of people, and there are people with diverse mindset will lead obviously the organization to next level. And their talent will improvise, as if, for example, if there is competition, they will for sure come up with new innovative ideas which will lead the company to a different set. So that's quite important for whole organization and for worldwide as well, not only in IT sector wise, but all over the world it is important.
Okay, and Amelia?
Yeah. So your question was, why is diversity important, and is it only like a buzzword, right? Also, so I take it upside down actually. So the three pillars, of the scalers are like excellence, culture, and diversity. And like diversity, it may sound like evident for a company like ours. Like I'm a French entrepreneur in India, so we have teams that are like diverse by design, but you can't promote your business as a diverse company just because you have people from different backgrounds, right? You like having a diverse team, it doesn't make like your company like a diversity champion. And for me, the real key is about like empowerment. And empowerment, it's about like inclusivity, inclusivity, which means like to create opportunities for everyone to be included in conversations and in decision making. And like it's a virtuous circle, I would say, because when diversity is one of the pillars of your organization, when you have people in the leadership that come from very different backgrounds, you become like to some extent, diversity aware, and you tend to design policies that are more inclusive and that strive like to represent more groups, And the second part of your question, I would say that, of course, embracing diversity has an impact on the business, and I probably can see like three aspects that feed onto each other. The first one is, of course, that if you have an environment that promotes diversity and inclusivity, you'll be able like to really hire the best talent with the best skills, whatever their background or their appearance is, right? Which, that's the second part, allows like for wider perspectives, like Marie was saying, to be integrated when discussing new ideas or discussing like strategic aspects of the business, which in turn allows you like to release solutions and products on the market that are like more inclusive and that address a broader like spectrum of the population. And just to add on that, I would say that the diversity, it's not like a feature that you can bolt on your business. It's a pillar that has to be built from the start and that supports the entire structure, right? That's a pillar. And we are talking about that yesterday with Marie, but if we want to draw a parallel, imagine like you're a business owner in France. All your business is conducted in French and you want to capture the Japanese market. It's not going to be enough, to hire like a freelancer in Paris to translate your material into Japanese, right? You need to find the right people that will have like this cultural understanding and will be able also to shift others' mindset as well.
Okay.
And also, I would like to add something else related to what Emilian said. So currently, my startup is in a big French incubator in Paris, and I'm working with a lot of other startups. And when these companies are growing, scaling, they start to think about diversity, because at the beginning, they didn't care. They just grouped a bunch of people together. They built a product, and at one point, they need to grow. And they realize suddenly that there is no diversity. They understand the need of diversity, but they have huge difficulties to recruit people from diverse background and origin, because they didn't build their company with this pillar in mind. And it's really more difficult to attract diversity, because diversity will attract diversity. And once you started to build a culture, it's more difficult to make it evolve, to integrate different type of people if you didn't started to build it this way. So this is really important to think about diversity from the beginning, because for sure at one point you will need it, and you will meet a great talent that you would like to join, but this person needs to feel comfortable in your company. So that's also a point where diversity is important.
And having probably like policies, process that are aligned also and that support and embrace diversity.
Indeed.
Okay. Just so we've got 31 people watching right now, and it was 20 people about 2 minutes ago. So it's going up and up and up. So the next question would be, this would probably be for Marie and for Neha. Were there any perhaps structural biases you encountered in your career? I mean, sometimes, you might say you're a female CTO, and that shows there's still work to be done, because it's not just CTO or not just technical coordinator. It's, sometimes people say a female CTO. So I'm just wondering if you did find or encounter any particular biases, perhaps in any hiring processes or the way people spoke to you or anything like that, that you would feel comfortable, of course, exploring or telling us about today. So either Marie or Neha. So perhaps Neha, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. So actually, talking to my place, it is quite normal over here, where women will not be working. Like almost 20 plus, we will start thinking about marriages and all. So that roadblock was there with me as well, where my relatives or the neighbors, they start talking and they'll say like, finally this is the time to see your like for marriages and all. But Yeah, there was this difficulty there, but as my mother supported me in this thing, and she clearly made it sure, like, I'm going somewhere else, I'm making my own, I'm taking my own choices, I'm making my career all together, then only I'm gonna think about it. So it was kind of roadblock in starting. Then when I moved to Bangalore, it was altogether a new state for me, because I've never traveled other of Madhya Pradesh, and so it was quite a new experience for me. And when I moved over here, I saw, like, again, there was a huge difference in me being North Indian and South Indian people over here in India. So language difference was there for sure, so we used to communicate in English. Then as being a woman, I took a mentor. She was my team lead in starting of my organization, like my career. She was always there to guide me throughout, like, how the technology used to work, how I can improve myself. So yeah, it was too important for me to have someone like that in my life, who can give who can be my mentor, who can make sure, like, I'm getting a good guidance. So yeah, it was like that. I faced that, I experienced that. And even here, like, most of the team you will not find, especially in my streamline, my technology. I'm from JD background, so JD mostly it was a main driving technology. Like, you will find very rare women over here. But yeah, as I shared, like, the support was always there, so I just made it happen.
Excellent. Anne-Marie?
Okay, so on my side, nowadays, it's quite common when I met new people that they would say, "Oh, you're a CTO, a female CTO. That's so rare." And there is no hard feeling there. I think it's genuine surprise, even if I would love this to be normal. So I think in a way that we are lacking of some role models to show that it's just a common job that can be done by any type of person. But hopefully, when you are a CTO and when the company has a few years of existence, people don't really question your ability to be a CTO. I made my proof, I would say. And hopefully, the career started in India. And there, I think I've been lucky to be in a place where the title matters more than the gender. So I was young, I was a female, I started as a junior, and then I've been promoted. So that's never easy, to go from junior to kind of tech lead. I was afraid about how it would be received by the team, but I really noticed that my coworkers were really respecting the title. They were respecting our founders, and if the founders trusted me, then I deserved that trust. But I don't think it would have been that easy in France, because especially when exchanging with some, I would say, tech peer that were not from my company and that were from Europe, it happens sometimes that they were challenging my skills by asking technical questions. But in a way, when I was not confident enough, it was difficult to handle because it was attacking my own trust. But nowadays, I just focus back the discussion about why we are there. And there is no point to ask this question about my ability to do my job. This is not the point. So that's not that easy. I mean, it can be more difficult to be a woman because of this kind of behavior. But I think it's improving, and the more you get experience, and hopefully, the more you get rid of this. But our issue is that we have a lot of young women that are joining tech and that leave the tech field because of this kind of behaviors.
Okay.
So yeah. So I really want to promote diversity in tech, so we could see, so it could be normal and no more weird questions.
Okay. What would you say, if there are, or are the differences, I suppose, when it comes to the approach to, say, we're talking about gender diversity specifically right now, in the tech industry in India, compared to, say, Western Europe or North America? Maybe would you like to start with that?
Sure. Yeah, it's a tricky question for sure, because like comparing countries, culture is always a bit tricky. I would say, like, maybe, you know, like just to start with my own experience, like, so I'm a foreigner living in India then for nearly 10 years, and somehow, you know, I experienced like firsthand, you know, what being part of a minority group is like. And what I can say, like, to the limits of my own experience, of course, is that, you know, like India really like embraces diversity. You know, I never really felt like a foreigner. You know, I have many like Indian friends, and I work with like many Indian colleagues, and you know, India, it's a country that's really diverse. You know, it's famous that there are like hundreds of languages spoken. In our company, like there are maybe 20% locals and 80% people from other states. And you know, there is this like famous saying that India is the representation of unity in diversity. Coming to the tech industry, it's interesting because, okay, I think I would kind of venture to say that maybe the tech industry in Europe, as we are talking again, has long been kind of connected to activities that were probably seen as gendered, you know, like the geek culture, like video games, etc. Whereas in India, like the tech industry, you know, started really booming like 20 years ago, and it came as kind of an incredible opportunity, you know, for families. So it's rather free from such associations and probably more gender inclusive. But as Nea was saying, indeed, the Indian society is still in most places quite patriarchal, but we still, in my experience, like see more women engineers in India than in France, for instance.
I totally agree. Another point I would like to add is, so specifically in the tech field I'm working in, so it's a language, it's Node.js. I've seen that the diversity in general has been led by some role model from the US, you know, especially in Silicon Valley, or some people that are working, you know, on the core language. There has been some kind of stars that were different. So it started, I think, mostly around the sexuality question. For example, some gay people that wanted to stand, and I would say the community that is making sure that a language is evolving and that is listening to its developers community. They took diversity as a pillar to be able to reach the more people as possible and to be reachable. So they focused on being accessible in multiple language. They focused to put really a various ranges of people on stage. And I feel that in Europe, the diversity in tech, I mean tech coder, came from the US, from this movement that wanted to spread around the world, and that's really great because it's the people at the top that are trying to help the massive amount of various people to rise. And we can see it, for example, in tech conferences right now. Since a few years, they are fighting. I mean, the organizers are fighting to bring diversity on stage, whereas before we always saw the same faces that were, in a way, all the same. And yeah, I think, at least in France, in my French community, tech community, we are learning and progressing thanks to other world communities.
Okay, thanks. I mean, as a CTO, you're obviously involved in the hiring of people and so on. Are there any specific steps that you take to lessen biases and actually promote diversity within the organization you're currently a part of? Marie. Okay,
I will start. Sorry. Actually, it's very difficult to fight bias. Specifically, personally, I am very sensible to this topic. but I've been through some tests you can do, and I realized that I have my own bias. So I think that the first step is to understand which are your bias to be able to fight them. Then I do believe in the fact that my pipeline should represent the real diversity at a minimum, which means that if I open a job offer for a developer, if I don't have, for example, at a minimum 10%, at least I would say 20 women that are really considered at that pass the first steps, it means my offer didn't show up at the correct place, and or I didn't search enough. Because that's really the common way. You post a job offer, you have, I don't know, 30 guys who applied, you find a guy, you hire the guy, and you will never have women. So you need to be sure that you will have a pipeline that match the reality. Then about the culture, I would say it's a kind of work I'm used to do. It means I'm a part of some women in tech organization where I help some other companies to rewrite their job offer to be more inclusive. But if you're not used to that, you can find online some bots that can, for example, scan your job offers and help you to pinpoint some specific wordings that are not inclusive.
Okay. Neha, I mean, from the perspective of an employee, were there any steps taken by current or previous employers, in your opinion, to lessen biases and promote diversity within those organizations that you can think of?
Actually, not in tech, but I will share my personal experience. So for example, there was my principal, so I was the head girl of my school, and so because of few issues in the culture and all, the parent will be come up with the thought where they will not allow a woman to do few things which she like for traveling, for example, traveling for far distance, they'll not do. So what happened is she came to my home, and after the school she made sure she's coming to my house, and she make my parents sit at a place, and then she said she's a head girl, so if she is not gonna travel in this tour, how come other students are gonna make sure how they are gonna feel safe, because they will come up and say she is not going and she is the head girl, then how come it is coming we are also not okay to go, or other parents might not say yes to. So she made sure over that time he is saying yes for this, and he is understanding how it is important for other students to follow up. So like that it happened, and at the end when I was ready, my parents was ready, allowed me to do that, there was 10 more girls ready to do that. So that decision was kind of helped me throughout my career also, where I always felt confident because of that step, I am capable of doing things. So as a developer, I faced it lots of the time in tech, in my company as well, where I found people came and supported me and or gave some advice, because of which I'm here. So it was always important to have someone there who will think about diversity, who will not think it is not okay, we can take this work from anyone else, but they were just giving you they gave me a chance to prove myself. So that was kind of it was all dependent on that, I'm whatever I am, because of that, because of those people giving me chance to prove myself. So yeah, it was important.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And Emilian, with the scalers, would you say there's what specific steps are taken to lessen the biases and so forth?
Yeah, no, great question for sure. So I would say as a business, the key, or I mean maybe the base is to try to provide everyone with an equal playing field. And that's a very important concept because, you know, it doesn't mean like to dismiss diversity, but really the contrary, you know, it's to actively, as we were saying earlier, like design processes, policies that are inclusive and that take into account the specificities of each group. And to give some example, as Marie was saying, it starts from hiring, of course, from, well, diverse pools of candidates. It means to pay, of course, the same salaries for equivalent levels of skills and experience, to bring awareness across the organization, and more generally, you know, I think it's to try to understand the changes people face in the workspace and outside the workspace. And at the Scalers now, we have more than 70% women in our top management, people from 9 nationalities on board, more than 30 languages spoken. So it was not, you know, an active initiative like to build a diverse team. As I explained, like we simply made sure to have diverse talent pools, and we selected, you know, the best people over the years based on their experience, based on the skills they could bring to the table. And why did I talk also about leadership is that I believe that to have a diverse company, you know, and a diverse top leadership, it's something that can really like inspire and empower others to take the risks and face the changes to achieve their dreams.
Okay, thanks. So when we talk about diversity, particularly in the tech space, there's almost, I would say, maybe unintentionally or it's unwritten, that we're sort of talking about gender, I would say. So do you think sometimes there is a danger because of that, that maybe there's other areas of diversity that are overshadowed, such as perhaps ethnicity, which is spoken about, but also things like class, or age, for example. I know, Marie, you've got something interesting about age, diversity of age groups and things like that, in tech and the hiring of tech in tech. Sorry, if you'd like to lead on this, please.
Okay, so what I would say is that in the people mind, tech is led by young people, you know, and actually in France, so I don't know if it's a tendency anywhere else in the world, but I guess so. In India, I don't know. We have a lot of women that are doing a reconversion. I'm not sure it's the English word, but which means that are starting to learn a new work for many reasons, and many of them are attracted by the tech, and they are joining companies. So at any age, it can be 40, 50. I even know a woman that joined at 55, you know, and it's a new kind of profile, and they have a lot to bring actually. So before we are saying that diversity is helping you to create some creativity, innovation, and these profiles are awesome because they have been working usually in different fields, and they learned a lot of soft skills. They probably, I mean, it depends, but sometimes they manage people before. They know how to work with other people. Quite often, they have a very good skill about understanding a final user, about the commercial work, and they are really very valuable. But they quite often don't receive the welcome they deserve, especially because companies, for example, are afraid of their ability to learn after 30 years old. And that's really something, an image that should be broken, because I know a lot of these women, and they are really good developers, and they are really key asset for their companies.
Okay, that's very interesting. Neha, would you have anything to add to that about what maybe one area of diversity potentially overshadowing another area, or other areas even?
Yeah, actually experience, like the year age matters. Like in few places it does, few places it doesn't. As Maria said, like the new people who are joining will be ready to learn soon. Like they will focus more on learning new, where there will be, like, there are exceptions who might not do too. Like you can't say age by wise who can perform better, who can't perform better. Like for example, 30 plus, yeah, they might think like there are most maximum my mentality will be like, I don't want to learn, I'm already having much experience in this exposure and I can lead with it. Where at the same place there will be few people who will be thinking of enhancing their skills, which will be good for the company. So in my experience, I have seen people who are having higher of experience, but still they will not be able to solve the problems which 2-3 year of experience people can solve. So it is like that diversity of over the age, it is actually it matters. Like it is nothing but numbers. You can't define these things over those. So yeah, it is like that. And as per like rich and poor, yeah, that is also one major topic over there. Because if you are in a tech, you will have a different attitude to the like few people who are like in rich wala scale, and the people who are in estate. There are two type of mindset that you will get, where the rich person might be behaving like full confidence, nothing matters, I can solve it, and he will do. At the same place they might not care. So like that also it used to affect at the most of the cases. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the UK as well, where I'm from, there's also like a big class divide where I think more working class people might feel discouraged to go into technology, particularly later in life as well. Em, do you have anything to say about that topic?
Yeah, no, sure. That's an interesting question, and yeah, I mean it's interesting, and I mean I'm aware we are all aware that diversity is not only gender for sure, but it comes in many like different forms, like from race, region, sexual orientation, age, the background, and they all offer like a a very different experience of the world that I can never relate to. Neither can I truly understand, the changes they might face, and we are discussing that when preparing also the conversation. But what's very unfortunate is that the conversations around diversity really started with major breakdowns. Very unfortunately, it's after the Me Too movement or BLM that the tech industry woke up and started, to have serious conversations. And those conversations are not about like empowerment or inclusivity. They are around like they are about like security and safety, which is the very bottom of the pyramid. So if as a company or a society you can't provide like a safe space to your people, then you have a long way to go till you reach empowerment. And so that's why I think that as a business, it's our responsibility, like not to wait for the society to change and to accept diversity, but to actively, proactively understand that there are many different groups that face different kind of changes that we must take into consideration, I would say.
Actually, you make me think, we didn't speak about it yet, but it's important. It's accessibility, especially in the web. And it's something that has been running since a long time, but it's not progressing enough. So the accessibility in web is the fact that we build something for people that have different kind of disabilities. So it can be visual impairment. So I don't know in English, daltonism. When you have some difficulties.
Daltonian?
Daltonian, sorry, thank you.
I don't know really, when you don't see the dystopia? I don't know.
Yeah, dystopia is one of them. Is the ability, for example, to see some differences in colors. So you need to build with contrast in mind. There are some people that have maybe some illness that won't react correctly to flash of lights. There will be people that are blind and that are using some voice readers, to go through a website. They don't see, but they use the web anyway. And it's pretty common to not take care of these end users because there are only a few percentage of the populations, but they need to use the web. And as developers, as tech people, we have the responsibility to bring tools that are accessible to the rest of the world and not to put them aside. But there are, as Emilian said, you can do your best. Sometimes there are stuff you can't guess it until someone explained you why in a specific case this is not okay. And it's okay, we all have progress to make, but we need to bring these people in to help us to build the best product. And when you can, in French we have a sentence which is like, if you can do the best, you can do what people were initially expecting from you. So it means we need to find the best people to build the best product. And once you do something very specific, it will be perfect for all the people that don't have any daily life issues, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's true that I know that for Marie, we are talking about that with Marie. It's something very important to for all the developers to keep in mind that developers have a huge role to play when it comes to diversity. Because I mean, maybe I'll let you elaborate on that, Marie. It's quite interesting to see this perspective as well.
Yeah, actually, it has been it's a social responsibility. The example we faced with Emilian maybe 10 years ago was, for example, for the first simple data form, you know, where you fill your name, your gender, and your address. A topic that is nowadays really in the news is about the gender. There are female, male, and there are some other kind of gender representation. And we need to push the ability for these people to be able to register and to not have to check or male or female. And there are a lot of, so this is a simple example, but there are many small improvements like this that came from the developers. And yeah, so we have really a social impact because there are a lot of product design decisions that we are making, because our clients, they ask for a product, but they usually don't ask themselves this kind of question. And if we come with something, they are usually okay. But if we don't push, it won't happen. So yeah.
I mean, following on from that, are there any specific initiatives that you're involved in personally to promote diversity in tech? And that's for all of you actually. But perhaps Marie, if you want to continue from the previous point.
Okay, on my side, I'm part of a French group which named Lady of Code, which came from a Paris group, and I'm following a lot of, I would say, French women in tech groups. And the idea is to help women to feel good in tech. So this is the issue I was speaking about initially. It's about a lot of person who join but who quit the field because they don't feel good. It's also about having some visible role model. So there are other initiatives. So I'm not an active part, but I really encourage them. For example, we have some I forgot. It's QueerJS. So it's some conference. All the speakers are queer people. We are not used to see queer people on stage, but thanks to them, queer people, they can recognize themselves in some talented developers and speakers. So that's really important. And also in France, about communities, we have some Afro-Caribbean communities also that aim to show Afro-Caribbean people that are doing amazing job. So the youngest or any people that want to join the tech can recognize themselves in this group.
Okay, thanks. And Neha, this is actually a question from the comments. What would you say to girls in India to encourage them to proceed their careers in technology, even if they don't necessarily have the support from their families and environment? If you'd like to...
what I want to say over here is like there is only one, I think, specific thing which is to the point for Indian parents to be worried about mostly used to be the environment and the safety. So they will, the first thing will come into their head is safety. So for example, I am being here from so I came from a very small city, and from Vidisha, which is too small city in Madhya Pradesh, but I'm here in Bangalore. Actually, at the first place when I was coming here, that was concern in my head, like how I'm going to survive over there. There will be lots of changes, and their rules are different, and people might not be that much careful, and lots of things will come in your head. But what happened after I came here is like I realized how safe this environment was for a woman to work. Like there is never mattered the hours which they are asking you to work. I literally worked on night shift too, and it was always perfect for me, because like companies, IT companies, they are evolving. They are getting concerned about women's security, safety. They will provide you cabs, and they will guide you through the right direction. If not, they will make sure your manager is traveling with you if they are more concerned, or the team lead. So in those areas, it is all safe. So for Indian girl, this might be the first concern which used to come in the head, is safety. And it is safe. It is total safe. Like after 5 years, I'm again back to Bangalore, and I'm so happy to work over here. And as compared to the outer safety, the inside the companies, the managers and team leads, everyone is there to support you. They just want you to come there and work. They will be take care of each and everything. Other than that, like you had to do the work, that's it. They are looking for work, that's it. They will give you whatever you ask for, but the main thing which they will be concerned, and they also are same concerned as your parents about your safety. So that's really good in India. And that is evolving day by day, and I'm so happy to share this experience with everyone. Like it is safe. It is just safe as your house, and you can come out of your state and you can work.
Perfect, thanks. And are there any initiatives that you're involved in to promote diversity in technology?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I'm also like the vice president of La French Tech in India. La French Tech, it's a startup initiative that's backed by the French government, and inclusivity is actually one of the core values of La French Tech. And in this context, like the French government has set up many different initiatives, very impactful initiatives actually. Like for instance, like if I just want to promote a few, there is the French Tech Visa, which is really interesting. It allows like founders, employees, and investors from all over the world to come to France and launch, join, or invest in a startup. It's like a 4-year visa, like you can bring your own family. And unlike almost every startup visa scheme in the world, you don't require any diploma. So that's quite interesting. And La French Tech also, we have another very, very interesting initiative, which is called the French Tech Tremplin. Tremplin means a launching pad, a springboard, a launching pad. And it's a program that's designed to allow like entrepreneurs to overcome, I would say, socio-economic barriers, in some sense, like it levels the playing field by providing them with like certain advantages, that they would have if they were coming from more privileged backgrounds. So for instance, it includes like funding, training, mentorship. And in the first edition, which was in 2019, there are nearly like 150 aspiring entrepreneurs that were supported by this program. So it's really excited, to be part also of a government program that really supports and embraces diversity as well.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Sam. So we've actually finished the round for the audience questions. So we're going to have a go through them. So for Marie, what, in your opinion, is the most common mistake in an organization's thinking around diversity?
The most common mistake.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm quite reading a lot about diversity, and every time I learn new things. And recently, I read something interesting, which was to rely on the diverse people of your team to push diversity in your company. They already have stuff to struggle with in their daily life. at the office because they are not from the main classic type of people. And if you also ask them from their additional, from their normal duty to take care of this, that's a burden, So diversity should not be pushed by only by your diverse members. You should ask to the whole team to be part of this process. Also, diversity is not for the people that join you to change, but it's a whole group that should include the newcomers. So I think that are some basic points that are quite often mistaken.
Okay.
And also about the pipelines, I guess that sometimes it can be more difficult to find interesting, diverse people, for two interesting reasons I learned very recently. First one is they have been fighting to rise the level they have right now. And changing is representing more risk for them than for people that didn't fight to be a good developer at the beginning. If you fight to get recognized in your company, you maybe don't want to quit everything and to do this fight again in a new company. So you might need to help them, to convince them with more arguments than someone more classic. And also, I don't know, if you are looking for a senior developer, there are, for example, a lot of people that have the level to be a senior, but that don't have the title yet because they have been slowed down by the different issues they faced in their life due to their difference. Because maybe they didn't get some promotion as fast as possible where they were competent, but it's just because some other dude, just were more confident and took this promotion. It's not a question of stealing, but don't only rely on title and take the time to convince these people, because for them it has been a fight already, and we should keep that in mind.
Okay. So a question for, sorry, I'm reading the comments at the same time. It's a juggling act. So for M, how scalability models consider the cultural, let's say, peculiarities of the markets to scale up? I mean, how does that work in your opinion?
Yeah, I saw this question was asked actually in the comment section. So I really experienced firsthand, what it is for a foreigner to to launch like a business in a country that's maybe very culturally different in some sense, and to extend into different countries, because now we have offices then in 4 countries, and I think it's quite interesting, because if you look about diversity, if you look about the question is about launching into different markets. Online you're gonna find like tips and tricks, like how to do business with Japanese, how to do business with Indians, with etc. But in fact, like for me, like it's like, I mean, the real key, I guess it's just the simple like human values, which are like maybe understanding, like patience, which are like very important, and you should not like it's not because you come from a country that could be seen also as more privileged that you know everything and that you're better, etc. You have a lot to learn, I guess, from the place you want to do business in, and what's very important for sure is really like to make sure, first of all, you really understand well like the country, the destination, but not through Googling, just through meeting with people, through visiting, through really like creating great interactions, great meetings with people, and that's really the key. I think the key is really about as I say, simplicity, openness, and many values. Because whether you're in France, in India, in China, or anywhere, like at the end of the day, we are all human beings, and we all expect the same, I guess, the same thing in one way or the other. We expect to be respected, we expect to be valued, we expect to build things, to do great things. And I think that's really the key when you want to, I suppose, go to other places and to other markets.
Fantastic. I mean, as a decision maker in an organization, I mean, how do you ensure, I suppose, not to make unconscious bias decisions
It's a question from the audience as well. Yeah. Thanks, Manoj.
I mean, I mean, Em or Marie. I mean, Em, you want to lead on that one?
Marie, you want
to? Sorry, go on, Emilian. I got a charging issue. I didn't hear the question.
It's okay. As a decision maker in an organization, how do you ensure not to make unconscious bias decisions when possible?
That's a really tough question, actually. So I try in advance to think about potential bias I could have. And quite often I rely on a community, actually. So as I said, I'm part of multiple communities. So some are gender, some are just very generic, for example, related to my technologies. And I ask the question to other tech leaders. I try really to reach a large set of people to have some opinions. And quite often I'm getting really interesting feedback. And not only from tech leaders, actually, I'm asking quite often the question to new joinee. So it can be if I'm taking a good decision, but also I'm trying to see what other companies are doing. For example, on the onboarding, recently we got a new developer, and I've heard about something which is I don't know in English, but it's something like the astonishment report. So it's a document you prepare, and where you ask the person after a few months to describe how the onboarding was, what was surprising, what was great, what was not. And I asked to many junior to help me to write this kind of document for my team. And that's a way I think to fight bias is to just, share good practice with other company and talk about it a lot with people that feel concerned by that.
Okay, thanks. Well, I think that actually concludes our conversation because we're very close to 60 minutes, which is the allotted time.
For the free trial.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd like to thank you all three of you, for partaking in today's conversation. And thanks very much. And thanks to all the viewers for attending. I hope you learned something new, enjoy the conversation, and hope to see you next time for our next edition, which we hope to be discussing all the ins and outs of digital transformation. So we will keep you posted on when that is going to be and who the guests are.
Thanks very much, Tom, for hosting us. Thanks, Aga, also was behind the scene, of course, and all the people who ask questions. Actually, that's very nice. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.